Okay, we've arrived here at the Comfort Inn. We're standing down here on the creek just in the back of the hotel. We arrived yesterday. Well, actually it was early this morning, about 1 o'clock in Anchorage. And we're down here, just got up and had breakfast, so we're watching these guys fish for salmon down here in this creek. It's called Ship Creek. And we've seen a couple of guys catch some pretty nice salmon. This guy over here has just put one on the beach. He looks like he's flaying him out. We're all kind of tired this morning as we didn't get any sleep on the airplane. Linda's over there taking some pictures. And Jack, he kind of snuck around here so I wouldn't get him, I think, but I got him anyway. Jack? We're kind of taking a little tour of Anchorage, and we just came out of a museum where it was telling about the earthquake here in 1964, and now we're up here at the Anchorage Museum facility, and we're going to go in here and look around, see what we can see. It's a really pretty place, well kept grounds, a lot of flowers. Mary, Linda, and Jack, they're sitting over here taking a break. Linda. Hey, Linda, turn around, girl. They're admiring the flowers. We're having lunch here at the Snow Goose Cafe in Anchorage, Alaska. This is Saturday, August 11th. And we're out here on the outdoor dining area of this restaurant, which is overlooking Cook Inlet. Comes in to the Anchorage area. And I'm going to just come around here, get a little video of the scenery. This is a nice little place to eat. We have this little balcony here overlooking the inland, and people having lunch out here. Mary, Jack, Leonard, and I have ordered our meals, so I'll go back in there and eat. I'm having reindeer meatloaf, mashed potatoes and vegetables. Should be good. Sunday morning, August the 12th, we're at Russ Flying Service, Anchorage, Alaska. And we're getting ready to board one of these airplanes, fly out to Crescent Lake to view the bears and wildlife. Jack, Mary, and Linda's inside there waiting to get ready. So I'm just out here getting a little video of the facility. There's still a little bit of snow on the upper elevations of these mountains. Coming in on the van a while ago, the driver said that they had a record snowfall here last year. Got a couple of young ladies right here that's from Moscow, Russia. Alright, we just started engines and we're taxiing out, getting ready to take off for a little bear tour. We're going to be flying in a Cessna 206 float plane. Our pilot is Russ. And here's a real close-up of our pilot today. He's got a smile all over his face, just like he knew what he's doing. Well, bye for now. We'll get another little shot here on the takeoff roll. All right.
Think we're gonna make it?
That was my first float plane landing. That was neat.
So how was it?
That guy didn't do too bad for his first time. Orbrey, you done a real good job, man. Yeah, we got this amateur pilot here. He lucked out and made a good landing.
I did. I got lucky there, no doubt about it.
Yeah, this has really been a good flight. Seen a lot of beautiful scenery. The bear makes it to the woods here, he's safe, thank you. Okay, our pilot's going around in circles here.
Yeah, it's because some other guy's in my parking
Which way he
spot.
wants to go?
Somebody's in my parking spot.
Mind your way.
No, this guy's in my way.
Yeah, some dude over here is in our way. We can't park. It's the first time I've ever been in a holding pattern on water. Yeah, we're in this pretty little lake. Mountains all the way around it. We just got off of the float plane here at Crescent Lake, and we're getting ready to get on one of these boats and go out someplace for bear viewing. And we really had a good flight coming in here. Beautiful country, a lot of lakes and mountains.
He's on the camera.
Better get your butt in there. You have to tiptoe to piss in that pisser, I'll tell you. Oh. Leave it to me. Jack slipped up on me here, mouthing.
Squirrels, roots, anything they can find. Where the brown bear, pretty much before they go into hibernation, lives on a fish diet. They get a little bit bigger than the grizzly.
Okay, we just got on the pontoon boat, and we're gonna go out here someplace and do a little bear watching. Look at this beautiful scenery.
Well, we'll be out until noon. Come in at noon for lunch, and we'll go back out till about 4:30 or so. Not in the park. There's some parks in Alaska that they allow a few permits, but we're inside here, not even around here.
Well, I think to say if they made it off the shoreline, they got it made.
Where I'm going instead of looking for bears. So the more eyes, the better.
I
Lewis is over here, and there's another bear also wandering around. You can actually smell the fish under the water. Whoa, almost ran on that. Back up just a little bit here.
Best I can. This boat's bobbing pretty good.
You'll fish for a while, then it'll go back in the bush and take a little nap. I can see Lewis in there still. He's just in there. I don't know if he's laying down or just watching the other bear. It's amazing how quick they are in the water. It just kind of shows you how quick they can be on land. The fastest bear has been recorded at 41 miles an hour. Pretty fast. They don't even wait till she gets in. Pretty rough dinner table. The little one's got it and he's gone. It's tough being a mother bear. And little ones are in the bushes fighting. The little ones stay pretty close. End of September, she's 800 pounds. It's probably as thin as she gets. Pretty cute. some eggs and squeeze them in the dolly board, and there's just hundreds of them come up. And then the lake trout come up, and they won't eat the dolly board, so it's just a... They use mom as a pillow. And he'll go use the other one as a pillow. It's really cute.
Well, he's hiding from me.
It's hot, isn't it?
And for a little bit while, but it died. The three horse.
Bald eagle sitting up here in this tree. It's a little hard to get a good picture of him.
Yeah, with the sun that way, that. Put that chair on this side. I want to put that chair over here. We'll come in kind of slow so we don't spook him. You don't know what the... I don't want him to pick it up. I want to watch it a little bit. Got a pretty good belly on him.
Watch out up there, Jack. I'm not talking about that. I'm just thinking the bear might get you.
He's insured, right?
Just doesn't pay us any attention, does he?
Yeah, can you see him? Yeah, when the sun's up like that, they really stand out. He's deciding which one. He's trying to decide which one to get. Good guy. Really good picture. Yeah. Yeah. Unless you want to go pet him.
No, I don't think so.
No, no.
Nah, they ain't.
It's a fishing line, we're catching the fish, huh?
When did you say that hibernate?
Middle of October until the end of April. The females will gain 4 to 6 inches of fat before they go into hibernation.
Okay, we just boarded the plane for the return to Anchorage. We're in one just like this one sitting here, Cessna 206.
Of course, the pilot's got a better sense of humor.
And when the tide is out, these mud flats may look fun to walk on, however they are extremely dangerous. Even though they may appear to be concrete hard, the tide comes in very quickly. And as the water starts coming back in, the water starts seeping through the lower layers of the mud flats, creating a substance very much like quicksand, so you can quickly become stuck.
These things.
So the engineers have informed us that there are some sheep up front. Oh, that they're looking for sheep up front, excuse me. So still be on the lookout. It looks like we have some mountain climbers on the mountainside though. Yeah, be on the lookout throughout this area for the sheep.
We're on the train from Anchorage going down to Seward, and we've been traveling about 30 minutes probably, and just shooting a little scene out the window. Lots of mountain ranges up here. two mountain peaks. Kind of a meadow-like place there. They said you might see moose out here. No.
So this glacier that you can see off to our left-hand side, kind of about a 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock position, is Skookum Glacier. This glacier is part of the Sargent ice field, which is behind those mountains right there.
Well, I was looking for Bowen. What are you doing,
This is called Seven Tier Waterfalls. It's the largest on this rail track. We just got off of the train from Anchorage down to Seward, and we're about to board and go for a little cruise out to the glaciers. And we'll be cruising on this ship right here, Star of the Northwest. This place is full of boats everywhere you look. There's large boats. We've just boarded our cruise boat, and we're still sitting here in the bay, and I'm up on the top deck, and just gonna take a little video of what it looks like here.
Yeah.
We had about a 4-hour train ride down from Anchorage to Seward. Saw a lot of nice scenery along the way. It's a little afternoon time in Seward, Alaska, and we're on board our boat to go out and do a little wildlife and glacier observations. We've got a table here, it's right near in the front of the boat, and we're just pulling out of the dock this time. heading south along the shoreline to our left, and then we get down there a good ways. We come back up the opposite shoreline back into Seward. Well, we're eating lunch and cruising along here, and they just pointed out this glacier up here, so get a look at it. This captain's got the front end of this boat right up against this rock wall. He said he was going to pull it up here and let this water drip on the kids on the upper deck. I mean, the front of this boat is close. This is the very point of the bow. Okay, this is the buffet area, and here's our galley crew. We've just finished eating, and we're still underway out to Resurrection Bay. And I'm going to pan around here and give you an idea of what this boat looks like. Okay, we're looking straight forward now.
As a lot of you may be well aware, currently we are in one of the most tectonically active areas in the world. And in March of 1964, the Pacific Oceanic Plate slipped a little bit as it traveled underneath the North American Plate. And the result was a 9.2 magnitude earthquake, which shook Seward for a little over 4 minutes. 9.2 is the strongest recorded earthquake in North American history. And for those of you who have experienced an earthquake, you know that 4 minutes is a long time for the earth to be shaken. Those same tectonic forces which have built up the mountains around us now devastate the town of Seward. And as if the shaking wasn't enough, the waves followed soon afterwards. Because underneath this boat, underneath the water, there are numerous unstable slopes. And when the earthquake struck, there were lots of underwater landslides. So about 1.5 to 2 minutes after the shaking began, those underwater landslides kicked up tsunami waves about 25 feet high that started crashing into shore. And those lasted for about 5 minutes, and then they stopped. And then came the tectonic tsunami waves about 20 minutes after that from outside of the bay, spanning the entire width of the bay, about 25, 30 feet high, crashing into town, causing widespread destruction. About 12 people were killed in Seward because of the earthquake and tsunamis. The land around Resurrection Bay in Seward was dragged downward into the sea by about 3 feet. The entire port facilities were sloughed off into the water.
Anyways, nice meeting you.
We're still just cruising, still hadn't made it out into the bay yet. We've seen a sea otter and some birds and stuff along here.
So in the mid-20th century, besides hunting, habitat loss and use of the pesticide DDT, which disrupted nesting and reproductive behavior, caused the bald eagle numbers to drop dramatically, under 500 nesting pairs in 1963. But things started to turn around in the 70s when the Endangered Species Act was passed and when DDT was banned for agricultural use. And by 2007, there were over 9,800 nesting pairs of bald eagles in the lower 48, and they were no longer an endangered species. So up here in Alaska, bald eagles had some problems, but they're doing okay. And their relative abundance up here can serve as an example of what the lower 48 could someday look like. And we have had some puffins off on our left-hand side on the water, so keep your eyes peeled down there.
It's a tall mountain.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's hard to get them here in this.
Dive under on it.
Most of your corn puffins have other concentrations. Large amount on the water and then some flying around on other concentrations. Up in our 9 o'clock position, there's probably the nicest bald eagle sighting ever.
Towards the open Pacific Ocean here. Not a very rough day out here, but you can feel some motion for sure, so please think about those things we talked about in the harbor. And definitely 3 points of contact, meaning 2 feet on the deck and 1 hand for the boat at all times. Please don't congregate at the top of the stairs. Oh, hey, we have a whale here, the 11 o'clock position. And there's a small humpback whale, it looks like. It's down, but we saw its spout.
I saw something sound out there.
I think it's out. Yeah, no, I think it's out. That way a bit.
Yeah. I thought I saw 2 spouts, but I might not.
It's totally possible. really big suits.
Yeah, makes sense.
So it might be a little hard for me. What the?
We're out in the Gulf of Alaska now. It's getting a little bit more choppy. They spotted a whale out there a minute ago. We could see him blowing water, but I didn't get a picture of him.
What they'll do is they'll take a huge amount of water into their mouth, and then they'll press their tongue up to the roof of their mouth and expel that water outward. And as that water is leaving their mouth, it passes through their baleen plates. They'll have between 500 and 800 baleen plates of different sizes hanging down from the roof of their mouth around the outside edge. And those act as a filter. Lets the water out, keeps the food in.
This glacier there in the background is called Bear Glacier. And I think we're going to try to get up there a little closer to it maybe. Yeah, I'm back on the stern of the boat now.
earlier I mentioned
Okay, we've stopped here right at the base of this bluff.
immature bald eagle flying pretty much directly above our 1 o'clock or 11 o'clock position. Actually, Bear Glacier's terminal moraine. And a terminal moraine is simply a pile of rock and debris that marks the furthest extent of the glacier, which for Bear Glacier occurred in the early 1800s. Just beyond that terminal moraine is Bear Glacier Lake, formed by snowmelt and glacial melt. And about 2 miles beyond that terminal moraine is Bear Glacier itself. Running right down the middle of Bear Glacier, you may notice the 2 black stripes. Those are both medial moraines of Bear Glacier. So if you imagine 2 rivers of ice flowing independently of each other, they're going to have rock and debris piles on their outside edges. And when they combine, the rock and debris piles on their outside edges are going to unite, combine, and be in the middle of the newly formed larger glacier. That's what a medial moraine is, basically. As we move along, you'll see in the foreground some more jagged chunks of ice that are going to be just on the other side of the terminal moraine. Those are actually icebergs floating in Bear Glacier Lake. Some of them are up to 30 feet above water. Some of them are really small. There's a number of animals that depend on these icebergs. Harbor seals will haul out on them in the summertime when it's the molting season, also when it's summer cupping season. That's the time when they're particularly vulnerable to predators. And there's also a very mysterious bird known as the Kittlin's merlet, which is a critically endangered bird. And you can only find Kittlin's merlets where you find icebergs for whatever reason. They've only found close proximity to icebergs. You might find them in Bear Glacier Lake. Preservation of the Harding Ice Field and its outflowing glaciers. Preservation of the coastal fjord ecosystem associated with some of those glaciers is another reason why Kenai Fjords National Park was established back in 1980. mentioned about the iceberg floating the road. You can see the look what's here now. In the foreground, kind of off to the right, in our 10, 11 o'clock shift.
I think there's whales.
Oh.
Oh, there's a whale.
You can see the fins and everything.
Okay, Paul.
There it is. Yeah, so that's a different one.
Okay, we're here at the Sled Dog Kennels, getting ready to take a ride on the dog sleds. Come on. this little old contraption here. Dog's gonna pull us down through there.
Sticks out like a sore thumb. I haven't tried him bird hunting. I really want to teach him.
Sort of mess things up.
Alright, our paparazzi hiding in the woods up here if you guys all want to smile and wave. Perfect. Every single one has a name, I know them all.
Did they ever bite you?
Knock on wood, I've run dogs my whole life, I've never been bit. Now, they're all handled since they're 2 weeks old, so they're getting raised on tour, getting held 6 times a day, they're all real funny. They'll fight each other, the other ones don't like each other, but I don't put those ones next to each other. The only time I could possibly get bit if I reach my hand in during a fight, but all I do is grab their harnesses, pull them apart, and they look all confused. Ready? All right.
observation point of Exit Glacier. These are the mountains that's kind of surrounding on the left side of it.
What are you asking, like 45 hours of darkness? Before 45 hours of darkness on a daily basis.
In the summer?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's actually getting darker now. Yeah, it's probably
Like 11:30. 10:30. 10,
was it
10:30.
dark last night then?
Yeah, since I've been here. It's creepy.
Earlier in the year, I was out gardening in my garden about 11:15. It was wonderful, you know. Yeah, you get a few hours. Early May. It's a hike that you really take your time on. I mean, I got some friends that did it in like 6 hours, but they're maniacs. So, and I question why you want to rush up and rush back when you're there to look around and enjoy and see the beauty.
Where did you see those waterfalls?
What do you got up there?
Right there.
Yeah, that's all.
Right up there is everything. You say right up there, that's everything.
Yeah, but in the saddle, both places.
You see the ones over here?
Yeah, now see out below it, the little orange dot moving? Okay, an orange like sweatshirt.
Straight up that, right down below that. Yeah, an orange shirt.
Okay, I'm standing right at the foot of Exit Glacier. There's a lot of water running off of it. Here comes Mary, Linda, and Jack. It's Wednesday morning, about 7:25, and we're departing Anchorage, Alaska for the Denali State Park.
Oh, did you? Yeah, there's an aquarium, yes. It was really
And the
nice.
zoo too. Or is it with the zoo or
No.
not separate?
Went together.
So when did you arrive up here?
Friday, last Friday.
Oh, okay. So you've been here a week already.
We're gonna stay.
I sound like my husband, that's why he's home. Yeah. We came, it's a girls' trip. We do.
Okay, we're stopped here picking up passengers on 5th Avenue, Anchorage, Alaska.
Good, and I'm just The lady who has a wheelchair and a cane are both your front seats occupied by folks who need it? Okay, okay. She'll just have to make her way back. It's just hard for her to climb the stairs. Okay? All right.
Okay, we're looking straight down Fifth Avenue.
I've got everybody, I think, but Beck, who you're picking up at the Sheraton, and whoever you have. So I've got Escoto, Springer, and 2 add-ons that are going to get, 2 staff park employees are going to get collected from Wasilla. One who's a bus guy stood up.
Those around, you know? And so he ended up biting the bear, kicking the bear in the head, and the bear's trying to bite him, and he got into this fight with the bear. It ended up, the bear took his shoe off and jumped down the tree and ran off with his shoe. Of course, I laughed when he told me that. And he goes, "It wasn't funny, Jim. I was a mile out in the woods with one shoe." And I said, "And a grizzly and a black bear." So, you know, hey, yeah, he's all right. He's, you know, got half a pair of shoes, so it's all good. Like a wooden box, put a lid on it, and that was their freezer. It would keep meat frozen year-round. So we're the first. Thank you. Yes, we are. Aren't we wonderful? Did you know Alaska has a museum dedicated to hammers? You know, like the heavy thing on the end of the stick? You hit stuff with it? It's down in Haines, Alaska, and it's the Hammer Museum. That's all they got is hammers. Anyway, I don't know why that was... I read that and I was like, man, that's interesting. I gotta go see that one day. But there was a guy down in Ketchikan, Alaska, who was named Billy Mitchell. And if you're wondering if he was the same Billy Mitchell that started the U.S. Air Force, no, it is not him. What happened was in 1896, there was a group of miners up here near Mount McKinley. And at that time, President McKinley was running for president, or, you know, William McKinley was running for president. He was running against a guy named Williams Jennings Bryan. In the mining camp, there were 2 groups, and they supported either one or the other, and they used to get these knockdown, drag-out fights.
Well, we're bumping down the highway, and this is McKinley finally come out of the clouds. It was cloudy. All right, we've just stopped here on the bus on the way to Denali National Park, and this is an overlook of viewing area of Mount McKinley. In the background, it's really pretty. The sun's come out. It was cloudy, so maybe we're gonna have a good day. We'll be checking into the cabins up at the Denali here about 12:30 probably. We'll hope it stays clear. Okay, this scene here is from a viewing point from a different angle that I took a while ago. Clouds are starting to obscure the top of the mountain again.
So you have any experience with anything like this? Any experience? No experience? Alright, well, if you've never driven a car, you got experience. Oh, now you gotta turn that off. I get a little nervous on the camera. Better.
Okay, we're getting a little safety briefing here before we go out on these ATVs.
Take that?
Well, you know what? If you think I can't hear before, I can't hear anything now.
What?
The buzzing in my ears is nice and loud. You said turn
Okay, up front here we got Jack and Linda and the ATV. Me and Mary's right behind them, and we're gonna go for a little trail ride here. It's gonna be dusty and rough, I think, from what the guide said, so maybe we'll have some fun and see some good scenery and something else maybe. Okay, we got a team of horses coming here pulling the wagon. We've stopped up on a little high point overlook here on the ATV trail. Get a little panoramic view here of the terrain. Come around here.
There used to be like coal mine up here, the only active coal mine in Alaska. Straight ahead there.
Yeah, they was telling us yesterday there's a big coal mine in
See
here.
coal right here? Got coal right here too.
Yeah.
Lake down here.
Yeah, the guy says there's Otto Lake down here and there's a coal mine there in the background.
Population of Healy, the town you're looking at, 1,300 people.
1,300 people of Healy, Alaska. Yeah, we're in a group of 8 ATVs. Hey, Mary. Jack. Boy, if that ain't the Three Stooges, I've never seen them.
First time in Alaska? Yeah. Nice, I guess liking it. That was my first time last year.
Used to be forward when they went to make
Decided to come back again. Got away from that Southern California heat for a little bit.
We're atop of another lookout point on the ATV trail. We've been riding through this trail. It's really dusty. This is our guide standing here in the blue shirt. I hear Linda and Mary laughing about something.
Hey, that woman and that man went over there and went to the bathroom.
They did. Well, I'm about ready to do it too.
Well, go ahead. You could go right.
We've stopped down here on an old dry river bed below this steep embankment here's got a lot of dirt and gravel on it. I don't know if they've mined this area or if it's just washed.
Bring it back this time. We lost one last time. We'll find them for a while. First one at the top, get the free machine. Get your own machine. Got quartz out here. Got quartz and jade. Lots of quartz and jade. Whenever you got quartz, you know there's gold around.
Yeah, but I don't see any of it.
Jack's shopping
I broke about
for gold.
20 rocks open last year. I finally found some, so it's around. Found a nice chunk last year.
Gold?
Yeah. Yeah, I broke it. I mean, I broke a lot of rocks open, but it wasn't a lot. It wasn't worth money. It was probably worth $10, but.
Well, that jade is green colored, ain't it?
Oh yes, yes sir. It'll be quartz and jade mixed together. Yeah. Yeah, I'll show you.
We was rafting yesterday. I seen the green one about big as your fist.
Yeah. Well, it's everywhere. That's gated inside it.
Our little grandson picked that rock.
Oh yeah, I need to snap it. Yeah, mineral. Because the gold will be in the veins. They'll be in the veins of them. So that's where I found mine. I found my chunk in the vein.
You know, you see a lot of jewelry from up here.
Everybody's looking for gold. I'm having to stand here and take video.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people, I mean, it's low quality jade, but people take it home and polish it up and make necklaces all the time.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, you can, there's a way you can do it if you look on your computer or look on.
Okay, we got a caribou out here, about 100 yards.
Oh, he's got the right camera.
He's still in velvet, isn't he?
Yep. Even the moose are still.
Got a good rack. Oh yeah, that's the way.
Those were around.
I can't find them unless you find them. They too far away for that still, but I can zoom them in if I could ever pick them up here.
We'll probably see them close to the road.
Hey, there you are. I got them. You can see that on the camera. When you zoom it in, it picks up.
Needed to patrol it, and then so on, so forth, all the way through the park. Dangerous business. It had to be done in the winter time. That's when market hunters were active. That's when it was, you had your most reliable transportation here was a dog sled. And so it had to be done in the winter time. So they had a lot of perilous nights, getting from one cabin to the next. Once again, no road, no bridges. They had to cross the rivers on the ice. Sometimes the sled would break through. They'd have to unload the gear on the river bank and get it out of the river before it froze in place. And then they had to get to the nearest cabin as fast as possible to get the dogs dried out themselves. And then go back eventually and get their gear. Sometimes they get caught in blizzards and have to rely solely on a good lead dog to get them from one cabin to the next because they couldn't see. They had to rely on the animal's nose, which was, it was good that we could trust in an animal as long as he was well trained.
Well, we're still busting back into this backcountry area on this gravel road. And we've encountered several sections of work crews. This guy here is kind of grading the road.
Whiskey. Pretty neat.
little afraid of heights, it really does help to close your eyes. That's what I do when I go through here.
That's comforting.
We're going to come up on Polychrome Overlook here pretty quick. We're going to get out. There's no restroom facilities, but a nice little trail, loop trail go up top. You know, it's pretty country. Good spot to take pictures. And there's a little overlook that goes over here, so you know, take your time. We'll be here for 10 minutes or so. Maybe 15. Depends if the wind's cold and get you back in the bus sooner or not.
Got off the bus and we're walking a little loop trail up here on top of this ridge. I'll just do a panoramic view. It's really windy on top here. It might be a little noisy. That white dot you see is a Dall sheep. He's over there about 2 or 3 miles.
Here it comes. Nice dark one.
Oh, here it comes. Thank you.
We'll be right up here in a second.
See his back.
There's a bear back.
There he is. There he is, guys.
Here, right. Is that you, John? Speaking?
No, that's me.
Oh. Well, that is an excellent stop.
We're gonna try to get him on the.
That would be good video. Don't waste your
If
battery.
someone wanted to, they can go up and scratch his ear for him.
Yeah.
Oh man, he's putting on a show.
That is great.
Well, it's not very manly, but it is cool.
Happy bear.
Oh.
You got one of those like that? I think he's gonna do it again. No, I guess not.
Bears love oil. That's a creosote log there. They love to, for some
Oh.
reason, they love that stuff.
He's a good guy, I think.
Go ahead, get up there, sir. Go ahead, get him.
He's too close for your lens, huh? Yeah,
Funny that it was
he's
right
a
by
foot
the
in.
road here.
Oh,
What happened, guy?
Something scared him.
Yeah.
clicking cameras.
That's how fast they can move, boy.
I like being in the bus.
Yeah, me too.
He's a pretty one, isn't he?
He's beautiful.
Beautiful.
Sleek. Not a scraggly one.
Why don't you go out and swat him in the behind so he'll turn around?
Nah, I think he can do what he wants to do.
He's gonna give him something to eat there in a minute.
Maybe he'll turn around and hold his paw up with the... oh, look at that.
He's digging that
He's
tree
gonna have the whole
up.
plant out.
He uses his head as much as his paw. Head and shoulders. You want to change lenses? He's going to be here for a while. Turn around and smile. That's it. Videotaping.
Yeah, I'm getting a really good video.
Yeah. He looks like he's already fattened up.
He's got something he's eating now.
That's amazing. That's the little potato. Yep,
You smell him?
he's munching.
Yeah, I smell like an old dog.
Yeah, get that tree out of the way.
He said, I'm gonna try this.
Cacadoo.
What a treat.
Those eggs will drop into place. There. Where? Oh yeah, big one, way over.
We've made another stop here at the Allison Visitor Center, and I'm just shooting a little bit of this scenery here. As the guy just said, there was a bear had just walked down over this backside of this hump right here. We didn't see him, but he's back there and down there someplace. And the mountains in the background still got some snow on them. And this direction right here is Mount McKinley, but it's obscured by a cloud cover at this time. Jack's looking for bear.
There's something shiny right over there outside the house. I don't know what it is.
And in the background here is this visitor center. Haven't been inside it yet. Right above the visitor center is a neat little green hill. This view here is atop Huckleberry Point overlooking Wonder Lake. We came down here this morning, Jack and I, to fish a little bit, but it's real shallow around the bank, so we didn't do much good.
I can't see it with my naked eye. Can you? But you can see it through the light. There's looks like two campers. One is lower than the other one. I don't see any animals, but I see some campers.
Looks like Jack coming across the hill there.
I thought I might could see an animal, but
Hey, Mary, turn it around a little bit that way. I thought I saw some people.
okay, too. You can do it. Just
with this?
Move this right here.
Oh, I see them. I see them now.
Hikers.
Okay, we've stopped here on the side of the road to take some photos of Mount McKinley. It's been obscured with clouds up until this morning.
You better be taking pictures.
Yeah, it's beautiful this morning. Pretty good reflection. Okay, we got an old moose down here in this lake, feeding along the edge. Cow.
Well, it's running away.
They got a couple of caribou out here.
What's that?
We're at the Denali train depot getting ready to board the train for Fairbanks. The wind's blowing really strong and it's pretty cold. I don't know what the actual temperature is, but the wind makes it feel a lot colder. Some of the surrounding area here at the train station. Orbrey on car D today. Well, guess I better get ready to board the train. We've just departed Denali Station on the way up to Fairbanks, and I'm up here in the observation car. I'll try to do a little video from up here. We're paralleling the Nana River, which we rafted in yesterday. And as you can see, the river down here below us. And we got a helicopter right over here to the left. Like he's gonna sit down there. And then above the highway and the railroad track is higher terrain. And it's beginning to rain a little bit. We're passing underneath this bridge here, which is Parks Highway, crosses the tracks here.
Yeah, well, I saw some of them before. Justin, you see the people on rafts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did come down here, Linda. I remember that little old house there.
Well, and we'll know. Orbrey.
From what our guide told us on the rafting trip, this power plant here was built and it's never been used. I forget what year they built it. But, and I suppose taxpayer money built it. We took out on the rafting trip right down here at this bridge. We're going along here, there's cars on the siding full of rock. And down here near the river, you can't see it now for the trees, is the quarry. Okay, we're still heading towards Fairbanks, and we're in an area now where it's kind of in a flat valley. There's not too many mountains around here. It's a lot of tundra and little spruce trees. We're still paralleling the river over here to the right. It's just on this side of the track, it's blue spruce trees mostly. This area along here, they're building a wind turbine farm up on this ridge to the right. It's supposed to be in operation, I think, in late October. Where? Yeah, there it is. It's an old miner's cabin.
Trees going on top of it.
The terrain has changed quite a bit here in the last few miles. It's mostly tundra and small growth timber or little spruce trees. I guess because of the permafrost, they just don't grow very well out here. That probably is real mushy ground out there with the tundra and permafrost underneath it. See some mountains way over there ahead of us. But it's pretty flat out here. Just flat, small, bushy stuff. It's real marshy along the tracks here. I don't know how far out in there it goes. This is really out in the middle of nowhere. It's really barren ground. Still got a bunch of the old telegraph poles along here. There's a beaver dam.
Another beaver dam. Another one.
Went out on April 23rd at 7:39 p.m. Lucky guy. The ice message has been a little bit different now. In the summer, a tripod is built. We'll see that as we go through the town. The tripod is placed out on the ice in the 1905, but on the left-hand side. Now on the left is the headquarters for the Crowded Barge Lines. This is the major player here in Indiana. And then just ahead of us on the left, you can see that big bridge. And this is the big Memorial Bridge that we'll be crossing over in just a minute. This is about our best view of the bridge up forward to the left. Also at the base of the bridge, on the left side of the bridge, you can see a structure. This is a fish wheel. You'll be able to see a lot better how long it is.
This is the town of Nenana. It's on the opposite side of the Tanana River.
I would right now like to make last call for and that started the
Okay,
gold
we're
rush in
just
Fairbanks.
coming into the outskirts of Fairbanks.
With that gold rush, Mr. Barnett's trading post soon grew into the town of Fairbanks, and that's right on the banks of the Tina River. If you get a chance, there's actually a plaque right across from the Spring Hill Suites, next to the bridge that crosses over the Tina River downtown. Well, Fairbanks is known as the Golden Heart City. The population here is about 35,000 in the interior, in the Fairbanks City area, and about 90,000 in the entire borough. This freight train on our right-hand side is scheduled to go down the tracks that we just came up on. It'll go down on the nighttime schedule. And it looks like it has a lot of tanker cars. These tanker cars routinely carry refined jet fuel, which is what the 1863 UN number means. It also carries heating fuel and gasoline from the Flint Hills Refinery in North Pole. That's about 17 miles up the branch line. 8 miles farther out to Eielson Air Force Base. So we'll be getting into the depot in just about a mile or so. So this would be a good time to take a look around your seats and make sure that you've collected all of your belongings. Make sure you look between your seat cushions, under your seats, over your seats, some pockets in front of you if you have those. When we get up to the depot, you'll deboard from the train, you'll go into the depot building. On the far right-hand end of the building, you'll see a luggage side, and that's where your luggage will be brought into. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes for the luggage to be brought in. While you're waiting for your luggage, feel free to...
Okay, we've got off of a tour bus here at this Alaskan oil line. Part of it's underground, as you can see. Then it comes out and travels above ground in areas where there's a lot of permafrost.
I find it interesting how light. You can see where it comes up out of the ground down here. And now above ground. They've developed a passive cooling system. They use anhydrous ammonia as a refrigerant. It will draw in the heat out of the ground, rise by convection, dissipate that heat out into the atmosphere. In the wintertime, it will take that cold and put that back down into the ground and keep that solidly frozen. As you look this way, you'll see the zigzag fashion, and that's for two reasons. One is earthquakes. We have a tremendous amount of earthquakes in Alaska. I came a couple of years ago to go on a field trip up to the Geophysical Institute. We get as many as 200 earthquakes a day in Alaska. Most of them pretty small, you don't feel them. Once in a while we'll get a big jolt. And about 150 miles downline from here, it crosses the Denali Fault. And in November of '02, we had a 7.9 earthquake on that fault. When that took place, they shut it down. They did a very thorough inspection, and they found that it did exactly what it was designed to do. They designed it to take an 8.5. Everything was fine. They turned it back on and got the oil flowing again. Another reason for the zigzag fashion is that seasonal temperature change that I was mentioning. Steel pipe will expand and contract, and it had to have a way to move without creating a rupture or environmental issue. If it was built in a straight line and it moved, more than likely we'd have that. But with the zigzag motion fashion, this is what they did. We had the vertical support member, horizontal support member. They bolted this shoe underneath the pipeline, and with that pipe, allowing that pipe to expand, there's kind of a Teflon coating here. It will allow it to move horizontally or laterally as the expansion and contraction dictates. And so it's pretty ingenious. And you can see that these horizontal support members are different lengths. And so each one is designed for its particular need at that point. Where it crosses the Denali Fault, that horizontal support member is laying right down on the ground, and it's designed to allow it to move as much as 20 feet from side to side. So quite a bit of engineering. Now, if you're an Alaska resident and you listen real close, I just heard my check go by. And we've already kind of talked about that a little bit. But every year we get that check. I've been here for 30 years. I came to Alaska just a couple of days late to qualify for the first one, but I've had all the other ones. And so they thought this pipeline would last 20 years. We've hit the 35-year mark. This was designed to take 2.2 million barrels a day, and it started flowing in '77. It hit that peak in '88. All that easy oil is gone, and so they're using harder, more expensive methods to get the oil out. One of the things they do is they pump the natural gas into the ground, pressurizes that well, and forces that oil out. We're actually running about a third capacity.
We're up on the high ground overlooking part of Fairbanks. This is up by the University of Alaska. And this building that we're in front of here is a museum. And we've been inside there and looked at some of the displays. It's really a lot of Alaskan history and native culture displayed. And we're just coming on around here looking at what the area looks like. I'm standing on the banks of the Chena River, Fairbanks, Alaska. Stern wheelers going up river, and we just arrived here on the bus. We'll be boarding the riverboat Discovery here shortly to take a cruise down the Chena River to where it joins the Tanana River, and do a little sightseeing. All right, we're just pulling away from the dock at this time.
We can fill that 100,000 gallons of river water. It sinks into the Chena here. We put a boat on top and pump the water out, and everything comes up just like an elevator.
Smoke a stogie up here.
We got a boat load.
I might go up here by the smokestack. Ambiance.
Our fleet mate over here to the right used to be a freighter. In fact, the last truck to run freighter was caught in Tanana Rivers before she went out to scrap. But Jim Binkley saved it from the junkyard, converted her to passenger service, and she's been Discovery 2 ever since about 1971. And you might notice there's a big orange paddle wheel on the back of Discovery 2. A lot like the one that we have on number 3 here. And I want to assure you that when you're on a Binkley family vessel, the paddle wheel is not a decoration. It's not back there for show. And a Super Cub pilot on push wheels could get off the ground at about 200 feet and watch the film clip. You'll see this happen. This is the short field takeoff. He builds up to about 45 miles an hour with the tail elevated, then he drops it, bumps it off the ground. That kicks the nose up, and they can get up in less than 200 feet. Which is good, because sometimes out there in the middle of nowhere, Alaska, there isn't a whole lot more room than that. And the short field landing the same way, just got to ease it on in, and those are big squishy tires, and they have these Tundra tires with about 6 or 7 pounds of pressure in them. So they can roll right over rocks and logs and not have any trouble.
Always wanted to do
And of course, they're very proficient on floats as well, and some of you probably noticed up ahead of us here, there is a Super Cub, a 1951 model, on floats, which is going to take off in the next few seconds here, right along the left side of the vessel. You want to get your camera ready? Now, if you're right against a window or railing on the left side, we ask that you not stand up. It's really sure you can be able to see him on the TV monitor. So here he comes. This is our friend Steve Knapson. You're going to see a lifelong bush pilot doing what he loves best. Something happened on the way. You let that marinate as you watch the Super Cub come around our bow, and try and imagine this gal in the back of a little plane like that. Or whatever the rhythm is now. Bush pilots are still very important to us up here. Now watch Steve get back down. This is called the slip turn. He's not showing off. He's demonstrating a technique for you that they have to know if they're going to land on little lakes that are just a few hundred feet across. You have to make your approach very quickly. Get right down there to the water, then a little hang time to level out. Can't even see the water right there. He's got to use the horizon. And he'll settle it right back down where it belongs. And stop a few hundred feet here too. Nicely done, Steve Knatzer. Another successful lap. And I mentioned to you, he's a friend of ours, which usually means frustrated, and you can't put that in the microwave either because it just explodes. You get little shards all over the microwave and mom gets kind of hacked. But people have learned to adapt to these conditions. Been doing that actually for many thousands of years. And you'll learn more about it on our trip here today. We've been doing this trip since about 1950 on a riverboat discovery, and in fact the first one, discovery number 1, if you want to see what this trip looked like in the very early days. If you were back here in 55, 56, this is what you would have seen. Jim and Mary Binkley on the bridge. And everybody getting on board the boat through the mud, the weeds. We didn't have a big training post back then, but the trip hasn't actually changed all that much. And this little vessel is still licensed by the Coast Guard. It works just as well as she did all those years ago. I'll bet they were on the morning boat. What do you think? This is what it looks like from the other side. Hi, everybody. Great big pumps that could take 6,000 gallons of water a minute out of the Chena River, and then they had a water pipeline that ran out of the back of the building up over the hills and that little 10-mile creek, which would be $8.5 billion at today's price. Makes you want to grab a pan and go give it a try, doesn't it? I bet you're thinking about that. Now here's why they needed the water out of the Chena River. On the TV monitor, we'll show you some old film clips of the hydraulic placer mines. And you'll see the water pipeline going up over the hills. And then they would shoot it out of these water cannons at very high pressure. That one guy could do the work of about 10 or 15 with picks and shovels all by himself, shooting water. He used was a chainsaw to cut the windows and doors in. So that's a real thing right over there. But like I said, in the land of the rugged individualist, this fellow's brother went with an entirely different style of construction right next door in this home with a pretty wood siding and the big windows. Now, how do you keep warm in the wintertime? Hi, Karen. If you got great big windows like that and it's 50 degrees below, well, you can get your windows triple or quadruple or even 5 panes if you would like. So you can sit in your living room like they do and watch dog teams run up and down this river when it's all frozen over. Or build a fire, pop some popcorn, and watch the northern lights over the opposite bank. No admission charge necessary. Great big green curtains of light dancing around up there, and you're nice and warm inside. You don't even have to come out. So that's that adaptation that we were talking about earlier, how people learn to live with these conditions. And everybody has their own well and septic out here too. Each property is self-contained. You've got power and phone coming from the poles out back. Oil-fired furnaces to keep your home warm with number 2 home heating fuel. And if your toilet freezes up, that's no big deal. We just call Bud Hilton Pumping and Thawing to take care of that. Big silver truck,
says, we want to be #1 in the #2 business on the side, brings out the big steam hose, and whoosh, your pipes are clean. If he's busy, call the other guy. Our Royal Flush beats your full house. He can do the same thing. It's a long winter up here. You got a lot of time to sit around and think.
We're coming out this.
But don't worry about those other dogs. Every dog gets exercise every single day here at Trailbreaker. That's why they live so long and are so healthy. I told you Granite lived to be 17 and a half, even after that sickness. He ran over 41,000 miles in his career, and his descendants all get the same great care out here. Now watch the backside of the lake across the way. David's going to pop out of here with his radio any second now.
We come out of the trees and we're kicking up dust on the other side of the lake now. And this is really fun for me to be able to watch all the dogs key off the leaders that are setting a pace of about 20 miles an hour. And that's really pretty remarkable when you consider that it's only 10 dogs in this team, but we wouldn't be able to do that if I only had 1 or 2 dogs pulling. It's got to be everybody doing their fair share. And especially remarkable how fast we can go, considering the four-wheeler and I together weigh over 600 pounds, and they're pulling this like for nothing. I have to give them a command and make a sharp turn, so I have to sign off, but I'll tell you more on the way back.
He shouts out the haw command. There's a fork in the road back there, and that's how the dogs know to go to the left. Camp too, because that's where the families still to this day go from the villages in order to harvest salmon in the summertime. There's a good example of fish camp right up ahead of us here where Garrett is tending the table. How are you doing today, young man?
I'm doing well.
All right. Sunny day, decent sized fish. Not the biggest one I've seen you with. What do you got there?
Right here I have a chum salmon and it weighs about 6 pounds.
Yeah, later in the season they aren't quite as big, I guess. But what's the plan for that now? What are you going to do with it?
When you guys turn around and come back upriver, I'll show you guys how we cook this.
All righty. Get it all prepped. After you catch it, you got to process it. And Gareth will show us the traditional method for doing that. So again, following the food was the key to survival. Fishing in the summer, trapping in the winter, hunting in the fall. And in fact, look off to our right, you can see some autumn color developing in these scrubby woods. Try and imagine a native family about 10,000 years ago trying to sneak through there real quiet so they don't scare any big animals like these right up ahead of us here. Off to the right side of the boat, which just magically appeared in about our 2 o'clock position. What a coincidence. I was just thinking about those. We have some guests. Rangerford Tarandus.
Did they pop out?
They're called caribou out in the wild and reindeer when they live inside a pen. They're the same genus and species now as the wild animal, different subspecies. They're a little bit smaller than caribou, but they have all the same adaptions for being able to survive up here. That nice brown coat in the summer so they can blend in with their surroundings, and then in the wintertime they turn white. They grow in a thick white insulating coat. Every strand of hair is hollow, so they have insulation the same as our multi-pane windows with a layer of air protecting them. And that also gives them natural buoyancy too. You'll notice too they have big wide hooves, different than most kinds of deer. That's so they can keep their footing on the snow and that spongy earth up in the Arctic called tundra. In the wintertime, when their food is buried under 3 or 4 feet of snow, they can shovel right down to it with those big feet, get to the moss and lichen that grow underneath. And the Tanana right ahead of us here is the largest glacial-fed river on the planet. And there's a lot of crushed up rock mixed in with that water. It looks like coffee with cream in it. You'll get a good view of it on the monitor as we get a little closer. Piloting a vessel like this is a very different experience for a riverboat captain like Wade, because everything's always changing out here. Wade has grown up literally on these rivers, and Captain, you don't know not only week to week, but sometimes day to day what you're going to see out here, do you?
Yeah, that's for sure, JR. It's just such a dynamic river out here on the Tanana. As you can see, as you look across the river valley here, you can see it's what we call a braided river system. So there's lots of little tiny streams. There's big channels, small channels, little sandbars. you always kind of have to be on your toes and be aware of how things are changing. This is always kind of one of my favorite parts of the day, because get to kind of come out and see how it's changed from the day before. And just in the last few years, kind of on a bigger scale, we've had some really big changes here. These big sandbars right in front of us didn't used to be here. And 5 years ago, something changed, and the river decided to reroute itself. And so the main channel moved from right where we're at right now to the other side of the river. So if you look off the bow of the boat, about a quarter mile out in front of us, at the base of those spruce trees out there, you can see where the main channel is.
Garrett here, he's over on the left now. He is Athabascan Indian, and I know how to say hello in one of those dialects, so you can join me here if you want to speak a little of the native language. Then you can shout it out so he can hear you. Say, Nanda Donja.
Nanda Donja. Which means hi, how are you, and good afternoon. My name is Gareth. I am a Quaker Athabascan from the village of Tanana. Tanana is located about 220 river miles from here. On the map of Alaska, it's where the Tanana River flows into the mighty Yukon River. I am a fourth generation dog musher, and I have been running dogs since I was 3 years old. My family and I at one point had over 100 dogs in our kennel, so you can imagine how heavily we relied on fish camp to catch all the salmon we needed to feed our dogs out the summer and the winter months.
Yeah, well, and of course this one is a good example of one of those camps. Could you quickly just point out all of the different structures and what everything's for?
So the fish camp that you guys see down here on shore is very similar to my grandfather's fish camp, which is located about 15 river miles up the Yukon River from Tanana. The main focus of fish camp is the fish field down here in the water, and that's what we use to catch all of our salmon. Right here up on shore, right next to me, are the air drying racks, and this is where we place the salmon directly after we just get done cutting them. The structure right behind me is the smokehouse, and that's what we use to fully cook and dehydrate our salmon. The structure on stilts next to it is a cache, and that's just a storage unit. On the other end of camp are canvas wall tents, and that's what my family and I would sleep in. We have cotton wood stoves to keep us warm. And right next to the canvas wall tents are little dog houses. We always bring our dogs with us to fish camp because they would act as an alarm system in case any strange animals like bears came to the area.
Yeah, well, they like that salmon as much as you guys and the dog. And speaking of the salmon, I see you've been working on that one you showed us before. What are the steps here?
So right here on the table I have a chum salmon. In Alaska we get 5 different types of salmon, but in the Yukon and the Tanana rivers we get 3. And the chum salmon are the lowest quality salmon you can get. And we feed them directly to the dogs, so what I've done so far is I deheaded it, gutted it, and cut it along the backbone to create 2 fillets that we leave attached at the tail so they can hang to dry. As you see, I have the backbone still attached, and as you can see, there's a lot of meat left on the backbone. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this off and throw it into the dog pot, because we feed the softer parts of the salmon to the dogs in the summertime.
Now what about that old head though? You just pitch that, or is there a use?
Well, if this was a higher quality salmon, like the king or the silver, I'd actually save the fish head, and I'd make a fish head soup for our elders. It's considered a delicacy to us.
Oh, yummy. And just how good is that?
I don't know, I'm not old enough.
Yeah, that's well. I'm asking in about 60 years. If you can't take out your teeth, you don't get any of that fish head soup. Now why make all these cuts into your fillet?
So right now, this is called scoring the salmon, and this just means I cut at a slight angle all the way down to the skin. It creates more surface area in the salmon, so it can fully cook and dehydrate a lot faster in the smokehouse.
Yeah, and watching smoke that's up there, you'll see these little vents pop open. Now the smoke can get way down in there. No fingers or thumbs on the table either, because Garrett knows what he's doing. Now, what's with the air drying racks? Why not just take it into the smokehouse?
Well, we never put a wet baby salmon directly into the smokehouse, otherwise it would just mold. So we like to hang it over here in the air drying rack for about 30 minutes or so until it's done dripping wet. Then we like to move it into the smokehouse, and then we rotate it all around for a few weeks, and then it will fully cook and dehydrate and look like this.
All right, that's a lot easier to take out on the trap line. And now when you're making salmon for people, do you do the same thing, or are there some differences?
We almost do it the same method, but instead bed we use the king or the silver salmon and clean up the salmon fillets. We use the king or the silvers and take the salmon fillets and cut them into thin strips, which we call salmon strips, which is on the other end of the air drying rack over there. And before we smoke it, we like to soak it in a brine of brown sugar, honey, and salt and water.
And then for the smoking, can everything just go in at the same time, or is there a difference there too?
We never mix our salmons together. We like to put our salmon under the alderwood or even the cottonwood because those are the sweeter woods we have up here.
And for the dogs, what?
For the dogs, we use spruce wood, birch wood, whatever we can find because they aren't too picky.
Probably not. Well, thanks for the demonstration, Garrett. Where are we going to see you on shore here?
Well, your guides met aboard the boat are going to take you around to 3 different stops here in the village and teach you about the Athabascan people, and I'll be at one of them to show you some beautiful native garments they wore.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to that, Ed, and thanks again for the demonstration.
Anabasi, which means thank you very much.
Okay. Nice afternoon to be out here. Now, real quick, we need
a lot, but the red flowers or little bud thingies, you guys have seen those, right? Yeah, those are called rose hips, and they are edible, but we make them mostly for jam or jelly actually, because the seeds you can't really eat because they have thorns on them, so they're very dangerous. So I just try to stay away from those as much as possible. And growing up, actually, me personally, me and my friends would throw them at each other, then it would stain our shirts, and our moms didn't like that too much, but it was fun. So it was more of a paintball to me. But actually, this is what the typical Athabascan village would look like nowadays, and after the first significant contact with Western culture, and that happened about 150 years ago. Prospectors arrived into the interior of Alaska on stern-wheeler steamboats, much like we've all done on the Discovery 3 today. Behind them, missionaries, traders, and trappers also came, and they introduced the Athabascans to new tools, weapons, and food, and this allowed them to stop following the large herds of caribou and to settle into more permanent villages like this one. Actually, the largest permanent cabin you see just in the middle there is made entirely of resources cleared from the site. The larger spruce logs were peeled and then stacked one on top of another. And then in between each log you can see is chinked with moss, and that all makes the walls of the cabin. The roof is made of younger spruce logs that were also peeled, but they were placed one next to another. And then on top of that, a layer of birch bark was placed to help prevent the cabin from rotting. And it also did help act as roof shingles. On top of the birch bark, a layer of sod was placed, and naturally growing from the sod, I know it does look a little bit goofy, but the grass was grown. And the best part is, I don't have to mow it. Actually, the grass is very important because it acted as a natural insulator, so it would trap rainwater in there and keep it nice and cool on hot summer days like today, and then nice and warm on cold winter nights. Cabins these days are still lived in, but they would have a few modern conveniences like electricity, running water, and if you're really lucky, like my grandma, you'll have Wi-Fi. I love going to visit grandma now. Actually, when the tour is finished, you can feel free to come back to this stop and take a stroll through there. You'll see that this cabin has none of those modern conveniences. With that being said, how many of you think you can stay in a cabin like this with me for a few weeks in the winter time? Okay, not with me in the winter time. I'm saying that I could stay in one of these. Okay, how many of you think you could stay in this one? Okay, all two of you guys, can stay in this nice, warm, spacious cabin, while the rest of you can rotate in and out of that little guest house over there to your left. It gets pretty lonely in there. Actually, this is not a guest house. That's called the Trapper's Line Cabin, and those are placed about a day's journey apart from the village so that a hunter and trapper can safely extend his trap line. The idea was he would wake up early one morning, put on his snowshoes, and snowshoe and dog team along his trap line all day, and just before nightfall he would finally reach one of those. And I know it doesn't look like much to you or I, but my uncle does tell me that after snowshoeing in 45 below weather, that's a pretty warm and welcome sight. But once he had gotten back to the village, he would need a place to store everything he had gotten because he would recheck all of his traps. So that leads me to what I'm sitting on, the structure that is. This is actually, this is actually called the cache, and it was used to store mainly furs and meats that he had gotten. As you can see, it's built on top of very tall stilts to keep away from the peskier animals like bears and the elements like snow and rain. And here in the front and behind me, you can see some of Alaska's smaller fur-bearing animals that you would find here in the interior. The first is not so small. This is a medium-sized timber wolf. He stretches over 7 feet long from the tip of his nose to the tip of his tail. The Athabascans would take cross-sections from the back of the timber wolf and place it on the outer layer on the sunshine roof, like on the parka I was just wearing. The next is the wolverine. As Gareth did say, it's ferocious and tricky, so it's very hard to catch. Can you all say doyan? Do you know what you just said? You said chief in the Gwich'in Athabascan language, because these were known as the chief of the forest. So therefore, us Athabascans here in the interior call this doyan. And my uncle does tell me that if a wolverine and a grizzly bear were to cross paths, it's the grizzly bear to step aside and let the wolverine go. Go Michigan. The next is that of the lynx, a very close cousin to the bobcat, but they do have 3 main differences. That's the pointy ears, the cute stubby tail, and the large paws, and these acted as natural snowshoes, so it can easily bound on top of deep winter snow. In my opinion, this is the softest. And these next 4 are all foxes, and the first 3 are very abundant here in the interior. The first reddish one is the red fox. The second darker one with some silver on it is the silver fox. And if these 2 were to cross paths and mate, you would get a cross fox, a cross between a red and a silver. We get pretty creative with our names here. Ooh, it got cold. The last is a beautiful Arctic fox in his winter coat, and that's why it's white to try to camouflage with the snow. But in the summertime, it'll turn a light brown color to try to camouflage with the ground. This is what the typical Athabascan campsite would have looked like before any contact with Western culture. And as I said, that did happen about 150 years ago. Anthropologists tell us that the early Athabascans had to survive in some of the harshest weather climates known to man, and they have done so for about the past 12,000 years. Before any contact with Western culture, they did live a primitive bone and stone culture, which meant every day was a battle for survival. And they were also a very nomadic group, which meant they were hunters and gatherers, and they were always on the move, and they were forced to follow the large herds of caribou, which leads me to our very lively reindeer over here to your left. Can anybody tell me the difference between a reindeer and a caribou? Reindeer can fly. I did hear the correct answer though. The reindeer are the domesticated cousin to a caribou. So it's much like comparing a dog and a wolf. It'd be like comparing a reindeer and a caribou. That's the main difference. But since caribou do travel in herds, as I was saying earlier, they often travel along the same migratory paths year after year. So the early Athabascan hunters would become very skilled at learning these paths. So they would place fences and snares to try to funnel the caribou into a smaller and easier area to be killed. And to do so, they would use a weapon of choice like the sling. That almost killed me. The bone-tipped spear, and my personal favorite, the club. But besides its meat, the main use of a caribou is its hide. We do have one here for you. As our commentator JR said, each hair is hollow, so that means it's very lightweight. This one weighs only about 6 pounds. And they can actually use these to make mattresses and shelters like this one you see just in front of you over here. This is called a caribou hide skin hut, and that was made by young spruce poles that were found around the area. They were peeled, steamed, and then bent into the correct dome-like structure. Then it was tied together with strips of babiche. Again, that's just an all-purpose rope. And then 8 to 10 caribou hides were placed around it to keep it nice and warm. When it came time to move on from these, they would pack up this entire shelter and carry it with them because it was far too valuable to leave behind. So now you can tell everybody at home you saw the world's very first mobile home. There are very few in existence today, so we are very fortunate to have this one. This is made by young birch poles to make the correct canoe-like shape. Then it was tied together with strips of babiche or split spruce roots. Then a layer of birch bark was placed around it in order to help it stay afloat. The black resin that you see along the bottom of the canoe is made of a combination of spruce pitch, animal fat, and hair from moose or a caribou, and that would help keep it watertight. A canoe this size can hold maybe 8 hunters, all of their gear, and 3 moose. For about 2 seconds. Really, a canoe this size can hold maybe a friend and I, and a few hind legs from a caribou. Really had you guys going. Made very similarly to the birch bark canoe is a birch bark basket that the Athabascan ladies would make. They would use this to cook, but since it did come from a fire, you couldn't just place it over a campfire or also just catch on fire. So they would have to fill this with water, chunks of meat, roots, and berries, and then slowly rotate hot rocks in and out, in and out, till several hours later it would finally come to a slow boil. You can probably guess why I'm thankful for Quiznos. And last but not least is my personal favorite. This is the birch bark baby basket. So cute. Mama would line this with rabbit fur or moss, strap baby in using these cute little moose-hide straps, strap baby on her back, and then she would just continue working. Then hours later, when babies cried and did what babies are known to do best, Mama would take baby out, dump the spoiled contents, and start all over. So this is our very first earth-friendly, biodegradable baby diaper. Unfortunately, this does conclude your guided tour. I hope I've left you with the understanding that the Athabascans are a very skilled and resourceful group of people, and that we had to survive in conditions like this for over 12,000 years. Today, I do face a greater challenge, and that is trying to preserve my Alaska Native heritage while still living in a Western world. And I do so by going and getting a great education in the wintertime and gathering stories from my elders, then coming here in the summer and sharing it with you guys. But this does begin your free time. You'll now have about 20 to 25 minutes to roam around on your own, but I do ask you, please stay seated. I have a few important last-minute announcements. Directly behind you is Fish Camp, where Gareth will be to answer any questions you might have about fish. Right next to that is the post office, where Dave Monson will be signing the book Granite. Down this path we just came from, and past our second stop, towards the right a little bit, is the dog yard, where a handler from Trail Breaker Kennel will be to answer any questions you might have about dogs. And I think you can even pet them today.
Get a little close up here of this fish wheel. When the salmon are running, they swim into that place they're kind of got directed with the logs, and that paddle wheel pick them up and throw them in a basket. The current from the river turns the wheel. It's not powered by any mechanical means. And after they catch the salmon, they fillet them and hang them to dry. They got a drying rack right here that and once they've dried for a certain length of time, then they put them into the smokehouse, which is back over there. And the wind's kicking up all of a sudden, blowing the salmon off the back. Okay, we've just arrived in North Pole, Alaska, and parked here in front of Santa Claus house. Mary and Linda's in there looking at all the goodies. I'm trying to take a little bit of video. Jack wandering around out here. Back behind this building here, they got a pen with some reindeer in it. Can't get good pictures of them. They're inside a fence. And we got a big old Santa Claus here. And then further down the way, we have a big statue of Santa Claus. We're at Chena Hot Springs, and these scenes here is just of the flower garden. They got some corn growing along the fence. Looks like we got some Alabama rednecks down here. Mary's trying to get close to the water and get warm. Okay, this is a hot spring. There's some people in there. I think these are Japanese. This is just some of the scenery around the Chena Hot Springs, some of the outbuildings. They have a lot of old road equipment that was used a long time ago, I guess, when they built this place. They have a lodge here. People can stay and enjoy the hot springs. Have a playground here for the children. A couple of Eskimos standing here. A little artwork. This is part of the Chena Spring Lodge. And we're standing in the parking lot. And the foliage is beginning to change up here quite a bit. It's a lot more color up here than it is in Fairbanks. We're about, I think it's 56 miles kind of northeast of Fairbanks. But the hillsides are really getting colorful. Looks like the girls are a little chilly. Okay, we've just departed Chena Hot Springs and we're going back to Fairbanks. Just get a little video here of the scenery on the side of the road.
Standing back there, he's got a glimpse of it. Looks like a bear, but
Crossing the North Fork of the Chena River. We crossed it 5 times coming up here. Okay, this is River's Edge Resort, where we stayed Fairbanks for, I think, three nights. We're in these little individual cabins. And they're pretty nice little cabins. Convenient to downtown. And they have these real pretty hanging baskets on every cottage. And this is where we're staying right here, number 127. We're here to a bird sanctuary where the sandhill cranes migrate through, and there's some out here in this field feeding. There's also Canadian geese out there, but this bird here is a sandhill crane.
Here comes some geese, man. this is more or less just a bird sanctuary to start with, huh?
Yeah.
People donated this very land, I reckon,
I got them. Got 'em. We're taking a little scenic drive around on the north side of Fairbanks called Farmer's Loop. It's kind of out in the boonies. Got a nice little bike trail along the side of the highway. Seen a bunch of roller bladers or whatever you call them. Okay, we're driving south towards Delta Junction on Alaska Highway number 2. And we have the Alaskan mountain range over here to the right. Probably can't see it much for the trees.
Stop if you wanted to get a good picture.
It's doing good. We made a rest stop here at this lake. The name of it is Lost Lake. And it's located north of Delta Junction. We're the overlook looking at the Tanana River Delta, and it's just north of Delta Junction, Alaska. This is the Tanana River that's flowing down through this valley. And in the background you can see the Alaskan mountain range with Mount McKinley, I think, in the background there.
The way that one of them on those map things that you look at the shape of it.
That's rose hips.
That's the old ones down there, and this is new sprouts coming up this time.
Hips on that one right there. That's really pretty.
I'm looking southeast, overlooking the Tanana River. Just another vantage point from the one I took earlier. And gonna kind of pan around here. And the main channel of the river is running down this direction. And in the background you can begin to see the mountain range. Crossing the Tanana River just north of Delta Junction.
Look at the Alaskan pipeline up here to the left.
Alaskan pipeline running along on the left side of the highway. Got some $3.99 gas here.
I wonder how far it was to that roadhouse thing. I think that's somewhere we should have gone.
Moose over here with a calf.
I could pull off right
Okay,
there if he'd let me
go
a
ahead.
little bit.
We're passing through the little old town of Delta Junction, going south on Alaska Highway 4. Jacobs Creek. It's muddy too. We're still proceeding south on Highway 4, just past Fort Greeley, Alaska, back there a little ways. It's just kind of a pretty drive down through here. Mountain in the background. If Mary wouldn't drive so rough, I could get a better video. Got a big valley here to the left with the mountain range in the background.
Must have been on fire one time or another.
It's another just a little scenic view of the highway.
Boost to that now.
It's getting better, isn't it? That was a southerner. He waved at us. People stop and go up there on that little ridge and take a picture. See how people's been walking up there on the trail. They do that. Tell them don't stop. That's so pretty.
Okay, this is a good view of the Alaskan oil pipeline that's running all the way from Prudhoe Bay down to Valdez. Part of it is above ground, and in parts it goes underground. Okay, we're coming down into the valley here now of the Tanana River. trying to get a close-up of this water here. It's discolored from the sediment off of glaciers. It's a real kind of chalky, sandy-looking color. Real dirty water, just full of ground-up rock. Okay, we see the pipeline paralleling the road here again, coming across this river bed.
Entering federal hunting area.
That's nice. Been hunting for 2 hours, huh? That is real hard.
So like this ought to be the avalanche area.
Several truckloads of gravel right down there.
Rocks. Nice. And rocks, that's how it says. About plain nice.
We've stopped at another little viewpoint, get a little video here of these mountains. And when we come around here, we're on the pipeline road. We pulled off on this little road. It goes alongside the pipeline. This is where it goes underneath the river, comes out over that hill. And this river here, they call them braided rivers, where the the channel changes course quite often due to the buildup of the silt. You can see little streams that goes out there, and they'll eventually, the sediment falls out and dams it, and it'll change course. We're coming into a little town called Paxson, and we're down in this Delta Valley now. If you notice, there's no large timber. It's all short, brushy, tundra-like terrain.
Guys that work on the pipeline live here.
It's a pretty good sized little lake, ain't it?
It is.
Look at the reflection of the mountain there.
That was thank you.
We can see some red salmon in this creek here, but I can't see them on the viewfinder, so I don't know if I'm going to see any or not. There's a lot of them in here. Yeah, I see them. Little shot of Alaskan road construction, or road repair, I should say. We've come through several sections where they're resurfacing the road. For the most part, the road's been pretty good. There's just spots in here where the permafrost causes it to buckle and they have to redo it. this country down through here is kind of different than what we've been in. It's mostly little old spruce groves and flat lands. Okay, we're driving into Lake Louise. We're going to spend the night at Lake Louise Lodge. See the lake over there in the background. Well, it's 4:22 Alaska time, and we're just arriving at Lake Louise Lodge. Be our stay for tonight, and then on to Anchorage tomorrow. Well, we're checking into the lodge. We went to the wrong lodge first and had to regroup and come down to this one. It's a pretty nice little area out here. Big bar here overlooking the lake.
We're going the third time. Oh, you will. Then we went. And did you see Anna's there? Did you ride that bus? Yeah, back to Kansas.
There's the easy life, just a cruising along in a canoe. He's got a headwind, so he's having to paddle kind of hard. This is the generator house for this lodge, and then there's about 6 little cabins up here that can rent. There's a lot of hunters in this area. We noticed driving in, it's moose and caribou season. And here goes an Eskimo. This lady that runs this lodge has got this little buddy up here. Comes up to her house every day. And we're going to go up there and see him in a minute.
he's making his choice what he wants to bury, so he wants to see everything. That's gotta keep you healthy. Isn't he cute?
He is.
And I go in and leave the cabin door open, he's walked right in behind me.
Oh.
Now he's going to want to see what this paper is, because he's going to choose whether to hide that one or eat it. He wants to see if I have more. So now you see it's paper. It's just paper. No more. He took it one night, flicked it way in the air, and stood on his hind legs and flipped it around. And you like that hand, huh? When have you ever seen a pig before? You don't have pigs. Now that one goes to get buried. No more. Yeah, he took the sheep balls over there somewhere. He got wildflowers planted in those clean-out things just to get the seed, and he buried those right away. You can imagine my looking in that washing machine. Oh, I've seen it all now. Goes here. Yeah, the rest of Alaska's, I mean, people come to the campground eaten alive, and here they eat them all. So, and have him out here walking with me or something, and they dive bomb at his head. The pairs of them. And then also seagulls got after him when we were down by the greenhouse one day. We were in the middle of the road, and along come a seagull just gonna take him out. He didn't care. Dude, aren't you pretty? You're so cute. You're so big. And he's been lots of fun. Lots of fun. One day we went before the ice was out, walking down to the front, and there were about 4 or 5 ducks that had landed in a little bit of water. We saw them. He just looked at them like...
Thursday morning, Lake Louise. We're getting ready to have breakfast and then proceed on to Anchorage. And we got this pretty scene out here. It's quite windy this morning. Got the windsock standing straight out, so it's a pretty good little breeze, probably 10 knots. Okay, we're driving south on the Glen Highway. We're somewhere north of Palmer, on our way to Anchorage. Been through some little rain showers, but now it seems like it's clearing up. Got some pretty scenery through here. Okay, we've stopped here along the road. Just take a quick shot of this scene. There's a glacier over here at the base of this mountain. Okay, we're coming down out of the mountains down into this valley here. We still hadn't come to Palmer. Should be coming up on it pretty soon. Got a little light rain going and a little traffic. This airplane has a flight tracker on board, and that's what you're looking at now. It shows the airplane icon down there and the projected flight path, shows the ground terrain and the time to destination. And you can switch it to get flight data. Here goes the flight data. We're at 39,000, ground speed's 583. Got a 31 knot tailwind. 1,739 miles to destination. And it shows you exactly what's underneath you, and you can see it like a Google map. It's a real good flight tracker. Making the descent.
land at this time, please return to your seat. Check your seatbelt, remain seated for the rest of the flight. Also, please ensure all of your seat backs are in their full upright and locked position. Your tray tables are stowed. All video monitors, foot rests, and seat backs are in their full upright and locked position and stowed and locked for landing. All of your carry-on items must be stowed in the overhead bin or underneath the seat directly in front of you, please. All electronic devices must be powered down completely, regardless of airplane mode. Once we're on the ground in Atlanta, you will be welcome to use your cell phones while we taxi to the gate. If you'd like to do that, you should keep that item close by you. We're coming to the aisles to conduct our final safety checks prior to landing. If there's anything remaining you'd like us to discern, please hand that to us at this time.